Greetings Guardians, this is Martin from DestinyOverwatch. So recently a new 30-second TV advert for the PlayStation 4 was released, and it featured Destiny. Now besides some new footage, nothing groundbreaking was revealed in this advert, but there are some tiny details I would like to point out, inspect a little more closely, and just give some of my ideas. So first off in this advert, we have a gorgeous shot of 3 Guardians overlooking the plains of old Russia, whilst using what appears to be another emote that lets the player sit down. Next we'll see the 3 Guardians traversing the landscape of Mars on their personal vehicles called the Shrike, and again we see a player use what I'm guessing is another emote, so it seems like there'll be different kinds of emotes for when you're on and off a vehicle. Here the 3 Guardians are now on the moon and storming the Hive fortress known as the Hellmouth, and there's something I thought I'd point out here about these 3 Hive troopers. Now what's got me wondering here is that in other videos and images of the Hive troopers generally look like this, whereas in this advert, the Hive troopers have red armor pieces. So is this another version of the Hive trooper? Maybe a more difficult or advanced version? Or did Bungie just simply redesign the trooper's appearance? Now in this next shot, things start to get a little more interesting. The heads-up display, or HUD, has been modified since the last time we saw it. Let's start off with the radar in the top left corner. Upon closer inspection, I noticed that the radar no longer displays each individual enemy in the area. Instead, the radar is divided up into sections, and when an enemy enters an area on the radar, that section lights up red. But there's more to it than just that. You'll notice that each of these sections that light up have different levels of brightness. We don't know for certain what these levels of brightness indicate, but I have a few ideas. My first guess is that the more enemies there are in that section, the brighter that section lights up. My second idea is that this could indicate how close an enemy is to you. My other guess is that these sections show which direction you're taking damage from. Those are just my current ideas. Moving on, in the top right corner of the player's HUD, the symbol of the ghost appears, then it expands and contracts. Now what I think this means is that either this acts as a reminder to the player that the ghost is ready to be deployed, or it could mean that there's something in the area that the ghost can interact with, but we don't know for certain. Right now it's just all speculation, so don't take any of this as fact. Next, in the bottom left corner, we see there are 3 abilities. The first one appears to be a grenade type ability. The ability in the middle looks like the Hunter's throwing knife ability that we saw during the VGX trailer. And the third ability is quite difficult to see, but if you look very closely you can see that the symbol is supposed to represent a hand cannon, or some kind of sidearm. So my guess is that this is the Hunter's ghost gun ability. Next to the abilities are the weapons that this player has equipped. As you can see, this player is wielding the pulse rifle PSI Umbra 2 in their primary weapon slot, the Silver Dollar Shotgun Mark 35 in their special weapon slot, and the exotic rocket launcher Yalahorn in their heavy weapon slot. Now next to the ammo counter for the Silver Dollar Shotgun, there's this purple symbol, which I reckon could mean this weapon has been upgraded to do elemental damage, and I'll come back to why I think this later. Also, this player is wielding the exotic pulse rifle called Red Death. Sadly we don't get to see this weapon being fired, but something's not quite right here. This player is wielding Red Death, but according to the weapon slots in the bottom left corner, this player is wielding the pulse rifle called PSI Umbra 2. So what's going on here? One more thing before I move on to the next part of this advert. Here above this player's head a warning symbol appears next to their name, just as they run into an explosion. So in Halo, Bungie did a similar thing where if a teammate took damage, their name above their head would turn a different colour, to alert that player's teammates that they were hurt and may need backup. And so that's what I think is happening here in this advert, except instead of the player's name turning a different colour, a warning symbol appears. Now let's move on to the next shot. So in this next shot we can see the same purple icon next to this Warlock's gun, and the reason why I think this icon represents some kind of elemental property is because the guns below that have fire symbols next to them, which would obviously mean that these 2 guns have the ability to set enemies on fire. Plus in one of the Bungie mail sacks from a while back, Bungie did hint that there would be guns with elemental properties. Their exact quote was, "Where there is thunder, there is lightning." And this was in reference to the exotic heavy machine gun called Thunderlord, meaning that this weapon will be able to do electrical damage. It also says that these guns have infinite ammo, but that's just temporary whilst Bungie build and test Destiny. You won't have unlimited ammo in the final version of the game. Also, in the bottom left corner we can see some what look like new abilities. The only ability here that we do know about is this one, which is the Warlock super ability called Nova Bomb, except the symbol for Nova Bomb has changed since the last time we saw it. We don't know what these two abilities are though. If you have any ideas, let me know in the comments. Now what's really interesting about this shot is that we see the name of a new enemy called the Hive Shrieker, but we don't get to see what the Hive Shrieker looks like sadly. To the right of the screen, 3 cubes appear which probably represent Glimmer, which is required for weapon upgrades, and next to that is a number. As this Nova Bomb kills the enemies, this number changes from 16 to 19 to 22, which is probably how much Glimmer this player just earned from killing these enemies. So that is it for my analysis. Remember to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Also follow me on Twitter, my handle is @DSTNY_Overwatch. Thank you for watching and I'll talk to you next time, Guardians.